Back at you with another one. Got a special guest again with Caleb. So, how are you been doing, and how are things, with the exception of Arsenal, really?
Uh, Thanks again for having me. Been great. Um, of course, things are not very good back home where I live here in Kenya, but we've been losing lots of doctors, especially because of COVID, and now there's a doctor's strike and all. But generally, we thank God. I mean, it's been not as bad as say in other places, but we hope the
Yeah.
vaccine comes out soon and gets to us. I know in the UK
Yeah.
starts
Yeah.
testing. The guys will start using it very soon, but it's gonna be some time before we can get that as well.
Yeah. So, I know hopefully 2020's been an awful year,
Yeah.
and it's come around really fast. And hopefully, with the vaccine coming in, there's a positive sign. And hopefully, there's also positive signs for Arsenal. I know it wasn't the case yesterday. What was your take on the North London derby?
Um, Naive from Ateta, naive from the players. Yes, we went in knowing they were the better team on the day. We went in knowing that they probably were going to win. We went in knowing what Mourinho was going to do. But I mean, we just played into his own hands, and I think there was a lot of poor decision making on and off the pitch by the manager and the players as well.
Some of them being,
I would say Shaka, Partey, Bellerin, Willian,
hmm
Holding. Yeah, it's like pretty much all of them. It's very
so
hard to
yeah.
pick like, who did well. Saka didn't have a good game yesterday. Um, Probably Tini and Gabriel are the ones who would say maybe did well, and Partey before the mistake he had for the second goal.
You know what's funny? I was saying this yesterday on my match review, or sorry, this today when it came out.
Yeah,
I mentioned that it's too often we keep mentioning the same players who are consistently playing well for the team. Like you
yeah,
mentioned, your Gabriels, your Tierneys. With the exception of this season, it's been Aubameyang. He's been our light and shining armor. We've also had that,
yeah.
as you said, sort of Thomas Partey. He looked 50% fit, but he still looked like he was miles better than Granit Xhaka in that midfield. So, why is it that there's a lot of blame on some of these players, and why does he continuously play them? Why do you think, what goes through Mikel Arteta's head?
As I said, like I'm very interested in knowing one. I think we have a bigger problem than the coach himself. What went through my mind as I watched that game
Hmm.
is for how many years now? We haven't won at Tottenham since 2015 in the League Cup, I think, and in the league it's been 2012 or something like that. At the same time,
Yeah,
how many times have I gone
didn't we
into?
beat them? I think we beat him with Emery 4-2. Wasn't that at their stadium?
Uh, and that's probably one win, yeah, in a very
Yeah,
long while
yeah,
at,
yeah.
at Spurs. And but these players were the same players who played very well. If I remember the first game when Arteta came in with Chelsea and against, or was that team? Yeah, it's
United.
United.
Yeah.
In the first game, they were pressing. They were out pressing the other team. They were outrunning the opposition. And now we're here having these players losing, like not winning a game in more than 2 months, I guess,
Hmm.
in the league. The same happened with Emery, if you remember. They didn't win a game for 2 months. And I was just wondering, at the end of the day, do we really have players good enough at Arsenal, or are we being overly optimistic in this sense? I ask myself the question: the following teams, and maybe I'll ask you. My answers are we are not better than the following teams. I don't know what you think, but do we have a better score than City,
No,
Liverpool,
no,
Chelsea,
no,
United,
no.
Wolves
Yeah, yeah, we do. I think so.
on paper?
That's because the manager's getting the balance right.
All right, Leicester.
I think we've got a better team than Leicester. They've got a better midfield. And
Uh,
I would, from Leicester, if I look at it, I'll take Pereira. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll take Sionchu. That's two, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I would take I'll take Madison.
And
I'd
Dindy.
take, but would you take Ndidi ahead of Partey? That's the thing. Which one do you take? So I'd put Partey ahead of Ndidi, but I'd take Madison and Talisman.
But Ndindi and Partey don't play the same position. Partey is a
Yeah,
box. Ndindi is a 6. He plays as a defensive.
he is, but Partey, even though he's a box to box, he only drives when he gets the ball and he runs with it. Or other than that, you don't see Partey high up on the pitch. So
Yeah.
that's why I think if you do have a Partey and Ndidi, you might play a bit defensive. With that setup, I'd play against big opposition.
Yeah.
Whereas you're playing with smaller oppositions, I play with Partey and Talisman and Madison. And then
Vardy.
so I'd also take would you take Vardy? Yes, I would take Vardy. But
Barnes.
then I'm thinking about the wingers
Barnes.
ahead of who?
What we have on the right wing: Willian, Pepe, Nelson.
I'm a fan of Pepe. I just don't think we've used him well. But yes, currently on form, Barnes
Yeah.
on the left hand side. So just about even. But then if you look at their bench, look at our bench.
Iheanacho.
Iheanacho, but then you could say Ceballos, Spanish international.
No, Iheanacho is a forward.
Sorry. As a forward, I thought you meant on their bench. Okay, as a forward, I'd still go with Saka over Vardy.
Under.
Yeah, I don't really rate Under that much. I really don't. When we were linked with him last season, I wasn't impressed.
What about Castagna?
Yeah, you know my opinion on Bellerina, so
Yeah.
I take you over him.
So it's really, for me personally, I think there's probably 7 squads that are better than us.
Can I ask you to counter that question? Okay.
Yeah.
And I want you to be really honest with me.
Yes.
After the acquisition of Thomas Partey on October the 5th, realistically, where did you think we were going to finish?
Personally?
Yeah, and honestly, yeah.
Yeah, I thought we'd be lucky finishing in the European places.
Okay, so
in the European places.
So you're thinking about 8th, then?
Yeah, 8th probably.
Okay. That's fair. So even if we sort of say fair assessment, 8th is perhaps the worst. We're sat here 15th in December, and I think a lot of this is got to do with the manager and a lot of his mistakes. And you spoke about the squad selection, right?
Yeah.
I want to do a little exercise with you. Yeah. I want us to go through, our starting 11. Let's agree the best starting 11 for Arsenal. And then just going back to your question, if we take our preferred starting 11, where would we rank them amongst the other Premier League teams? Yeah. Okay. So I'm guessing in goal. Hold up. Before we sort of go to the teams, guessing we're gonna go with 4-3-3, just to make it easy. Or
I don't think we have the resources for 4-3-3, but yeah.
Just for this sake, let's say 4-3-3. All right. In goal with me, Bernd Leno. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's more like we have another option. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Now, interestingly, right back.
I would play Cedric.
I agree with you because after Thursday's performance, I liked what I saw from Ainsley midfield.
Not necessarily. I mean, it's been poor generally. Bellerin has been poor since the season. Now, if you imagine the league has 1,000 registered players, out of those 1,000 registered players, there's been 16 ball throws. 5 of them are for Bellerin.
I know.
Let
me give you another stat. Since Ainsley was told to stay and we rejected his bid to Wolves, he's only managed 8 minutes in the Premier League.
Horrible.
Yeah. Again, mismanagement. But sorry, continuing on to this. So we agree Cedric as our right back. Left back, Tierney.
Tierney, yes.
Okay. 2 centre backs.
Gabriel.
Yeah, easy. I know who I'd go for. You know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I'll definitely want to go for Saliba, but I'm concerned about that. Personally, I wouldn't want two players coming out of France going in there. So, I'll go Luiz. For the
Luis,
experience, yes.
we're gonna have to agree with this. Come to an agreement. So,
Yeah.
give me your point for Luis, and then I'll give you my point for Saliba. Yep. And then after that, we'll come to an agreement.
Good. This is why I think, personally, I think Saliba is not ready to start. If anything, he should have been sent on loan in the Premier League or in the Championship with one of the top clubs there. Maybe a Brentford, say Watford or something like that, or maybe go out to something like Southampton, and Newcastle,
But
maybe.
why do you think he's not ready?
Why I think he's not ready. Last season, Saliba played 6 months
Yeah.
in the French league. I think we need to appreciate that. And having come out of the French league, is not many players who've come from France and did well in England. Out of like in the first year, we
There's
can count, including players who have played at Arsenal.
yeah.
Pure an example.
I know of a brilliant player who's just come from Liga to the Premier League, and he's 19 years old, playing at centre back at Leicester City and been performing exceptionally. Yeah,
All right.
And so my point is with Saliba, yes, he was injured, but
Yes.
from the games I've seen him from last season when he played Monaco, he looked great against Ben Yedder. PSG, if I'm correct, he kept the likes of Neymar and Mbappe quiet. There was one game, if I'm honest with you, it was against, can't remember the team now, but I remember him being sort of naive with the sort of strikers fast turning. But for me, I'd rather see Saliba coming in. He's an Arsenal fan, yeah. He's 19 years of age. He can only get better than seeing David Luiz, who's not going to be here end of the season. And I would rather see Saliba and Gabriel blossom up that partnership. If at least give him a go. If not, then fair play. We'll go for somewhere else. But I've always maintained David Luiz is not good enough. When we talk about these players who've let down managers over and over again, he's one of them. So why do we want to include him in our squad?
But do you then think that there's a risk to that? Like right now, what's happening with Saka? We're literally putting all our hopes on a 19-year-old.
But is that because we're so fed up of the status quo that we don't want to see these players, that we're just hungry for these youngsters to come in? And that's why when you sort of see Saka, you see he drives, he tries stuff. And that's why, yes, I absolutely agree. The manager's overburdened. The manager should manage his fitness and how many games he plays.
And exactly, that's what worries me, because say looking at United, with Greenwood and is it Dan James?
Yeah,
they've just dipped because of the expectation that has been put in them. And I was just thinking about Chelsea. If you notice the mounts, the Reus James, even Odoi is actually not getting a look in. Abraham, these players did go out to the Championship, had a full season there, and consistently so. And I don't think our players are actually have had it. There's none of our players who has had any of that. None of the players we're talking about, apart from, of course, Saka was bedded in last season. None of the players we have been had a full season with a team, whether at Arsenal or somewhere else. But then again, I think doing that at Arsenal with the environment as it is right now might not be the best. But as you say, is better than what we have on paper. I would say that, because that's what we've seen in another league. But I'm worried in destroying something that will work for us in future. Because if you take, say, Soyuncu, he came into Leicester and actually stayed an entire season without playing a single game. He actually played towards the end of the season, and he came in towards the end of last season.
Wasn't that mainly due to injuries when he didn't play his first season? Because
No,
he,
it wasn't due to injuries. He was actually fit for a good 6 months of that season.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then. You know what? Just because we haven't seen Saliba yet,
Yeah.
we'll put David Luiz for now. Yeah.
Sure.
But in a long term, I don't want to see Luiz.
Definitely. I mean, at the end of the season, I literally have a list of like, I think it's about 13 players I don't want to see at Arsenal, probably 15.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I would get rid of 18, but yeah,
Yeah,
that,
probably.
that's my opinion. All
Yeah.
right. So we've got in defense Cedric, Gabriel, Luiz, Tierney. Yep.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. So moving on to the midfield. I
Yeah.
think we're both going to say Thomas Partey, without a doubt.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we should let's include Mesut Ozil in this as well because he could still be eligible come January. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we're not going to include Guendouzi because the loan deal is all Torreira
Yeah.
because
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yes, definitely.
Okay. So would you bring Mesut Ozil, the elephant in the room, into the starting 11 for this team?
My midfield three will be Ozil, Partey, Ainsley.
Okay. I would go for Partey. You see, I want to say Emil Smith Rowe, but I don't want to just keep promoting kids, so I'm gonna be sensible and say Partey, Ceballos, and Ainsley.
Okay.
All right, so we both agree on Partey. We both
Yeah.
agree on Ainsley.
Yeah.
But again, like with the Saliba Luiz, you give me your case for Ozil, and I'll give you my case for Ceballos.
But Shaka, too many sideways backward passes. Ceballos, one too many touches on the ball. He spends too much time on the ball. Yesterday, I saw him
Apologies. Can I change that? Change my mind. I don't want Ceballos. Oh, I want Willian. Sorry, I want Willian.
in the middle.
Yeah, I remembered of a game.
All right.
Okay.
So even William still, I wouldn't put him there. I was still, for me, I still AMN Partey, Ozil.
Mm-hmm.
Simply because I think both of the two of AMN and Partey have the legs actually to run back and forth, and one of them can sit while the other goes, and then Ozil does the creation and in the final third and all that, the 10 role ideally.
But do you not think he's fallen off in terms of the contract? I think many of us, we still want to hold hope that Ozil's still the same player that first came in and then rejuvenate the club and we won our first trophy in like 13 years. I think we still hold on hope that he's that player.
Definitely. It's because again, as I said,
Yeah.
um, if Emil Smith Rowe had gone out for say
Mm-hmm.
a loan and we had seen him play for 6 months in the championship,
Yeah.
someone especially, but for me personally, I would say in the championship because I think the championship has become competitive enough to actually have players move from there, come into the league and do well.
Agreed.
You have Bowen as examples of those. You have Watkins doing well. So I think if he'd gone there, I could actually slot him in that 10 role. But for what is available, I will take Ozil for now and maybe try to get the Hungarian kid.
Szoboszlai,
Yeah, so in for that 10 role. Otherwise,
Okay, let me ask you this question. So remember when Unai Emery was here and he was very stubborn, refused to play Mesut Ozil, and then there was so much pressure on him to bring Ozil back into this team by the fans, by the media, etc. When he did bring Ozil back in the team, what did he do? I think this is the thing, and it's a reoccurring cycle. I've seen it over and over again. We've brought Ozil in, he's done nothing. So why do we expect him to do anything now?
And that's why that's actually going to be like part of what I want to discuss because well, another question I want to ask you, I don't want us to go into it now, but maybe later, is
we'll go after this, yeah.
2006, 2005 maybe, or maybe after the Champions League final, can you point to one specific thing that was an highlight for you since 2006 to today? Something that got you really excited, something that made you go into a season knowing that we are going to win this season, or any transfer window where we addressed all the issues we had, if not doing
Never.
a Maki signing every other
Yeah,
season.
we're always one short, aren't we?
Yeah,
We're always a player short. Last season, yeah, it was almost perfect.
yeah.
And then what did we do? We got David Luiz instead of Upamecano. That said it all for me.
So
Almost.
we knew. I'll tell you this. When Wenger was the coach, our defense was the problem.
Hmm.
We didn't fix the defense. By the time we were trying to fix the defense and bringing in Koscielny,
Yeah,
the striking had become a problem.
yeah.
Okay, we fixed the striking,
And now
the
it's
defense
different.
became a problem. Now we have fixed the defense, sort of.
Yeah,
The field has become a problem. So we're literally in
in a
a cycle.
circle. And
Sure.
could be the same thing with the Mesut Ozil. You know, we talk about lack of creativity. Fans cry out, Mesut Ozil. Yeah, Mesut Ozil is brought back into the squad. Then we realize he's not good enough. Then fans scream, we need extra signing. Mesut Ozil gets outed again by the team. Yeah, sat away, and then every time we don't create chances, is always brought up again. Mesut Ozil, and that's why for me, I would rather see Willian. I saw Willian in that game against the South. Yes, I know Sheffield United second half, but when he came onto that central position and
Yeah.
straight away we looked very lively. You know, his interplay with sort of Pepe, Oba, Laka, he looked really great. And with Willian, he's got that thing where he can, when you sort of give him the ball, he can sort of take it and just sort of slide directly quickly. And I think he's really good at that.
Yeah.
And at Chelsea, last season, he was playing, even though he's left, he was playing more sort of centrally because he was occupying that Eden Hazard role when he left to Real Madrid. So I think he's quite decent at that, and he's not got the legs to play on the right hand side and to beat a man, dribble past a man like a Pepe. So I think him bringing him centrally, he can at least link up plays, and I think he's got the legs. Whereas Ozil, it's just I've seen the story before, and I know what's going to happen. At least with this, I don't know if that makes sense. It might work out well, it might not work out at all. And I just think with Ozil as well, I think he's lost the passion. I don't see the love for football in him no more. He's just deflated. He cares more about his fashions. All I see him on his social media is promoting his fashion label and all of this and that. I don't ever see him talk about football unless someone dies and he's tweeting out, rest in peace. That's it.
But that what concerns me is that we're actually counting on Willian's best season in 7 years at Chelsea, or 7 or so years at Chelsea, and that was the last one. So that I'm worried about. Of course, Ozil is the same case. We are still counting on the Ozil that came from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
So for me, genuinely, that number 10 position, I would even give it to Lacazette. But it's one of those positions where I'm like, we don't have the resources.
You know what?
Yeah.
We'll agree on Lacazette. That
Yeah.
I can agree with, but I'm not putting Ozil into this team. I just don't think he's good enough. Yeah, I feel sorry for Ozil for his situation because I don't think he's done wrong in terms of footballing. Yeah, I think he's been managed really bad by the club. They offered him the contract, and then now they want to punish him for it. Yeah, but in terms of just pure footballer, I keep telling Arsenal fans he's not the answer. We can bring him in tomorrow into the squad, and he still won't do nothing. What did Ozil do yesterday in that Tottenham game?
Nothing.
Exactly.
Done anything, literally. I mean, if anything, I will tell you this. The conversation on Twitter will be like, why didn't he cover that run now? Why didn't he go after that run? Why didn't he this? That's what the conversation will be if we had a lot of people, like, personally, I think Arsenal fans like an honeymoon a lot. Arteta's honeymoon came and it's now gone, and we are actually looking for another one. But reality is, the club is a mess. It has been a mess that has been going on for more than 12 years. And to fix it, I think about it as an old house that probably has rotten timber in every corner. Are we going to put in some steel straps to put the house okay? No. We just have to take it out.
We'll get onto the ownership and we'll get onto that. That's the juicy part. All right. Strikers. So midfield, yeah? We said Partey, Ainsley, Laka as that number 10. All right.
Sure.
On the left wing, I'm going to say Martinelli.
Left.
I do like Saka. It's hard. Or maybe play Martinelli as a... No, actually, Aubameyang doesn't deserve to start right now. But Aubameyang will score. You see, it's hard. You see, we do have decent squad options when you really think about it, no? You don't think Saka and Martinelli can get in? They're not good enough for most teams?
Saka, Martinelli, Pepe. That's it.
No Oba in your team?
Oba comes in as an impact sub. I mean, the man is out of form. I was checking again.
Yeah.
Last season, he had an XG of expected goals of 16, scored 22.
Yeah.
The season before that, 23, he scored 22. This season, he has 2.04. He has scored 2. I mean, it's clinical, yes, if you look at those numbers. But we should be preparing ourselves, like City are doing, with actually phasing out Aguero. For Jesus, we need to prepare for life. The same way you said, actually, with Luiz, we already have somebody who we know has been playing in the Premier League, has played in England.
Yeah. You know,
in Martinelli, and we can put him in.
You see, the reason why I know a lot of people might think I might be a bit deluded with me being a massive advocate for the youth, but from what I saw from Chelsea last season, when they were put in a predicament where they had to rely on the youth, I thought, and they did pretty well, yeah? Now, if you look at the youth system, they could either sell these guys for a high premium, or these guys can stay on and be decent players. But I'm just tired of us entrusting the same clowns who have been here, let down Wenger, let down Unai, they've let down Mikel, and the worst part is Mikel is continuously to select these guys. But before we speak about Mikel and the board and the other issues at the club, let me just run the team that we've said amongst us that we've agreed on anyway is our sort of starting 11. We said let on go, Cedric as right back, Tierney as left back. We've got Luiz and Gabriel as our centre back. We've got Partey, Ainsley, and Laka in midfield, with Saka, Martinelli, and Pepe. Now,
I agree with that forward line, though.
What's that?
I don't know if you agree with that forward line yourself.
Oh, I do. I think Martinelli is going to be one of the best players. I think he's too good for Arsenal. I think give him 5 years, he's going to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona if we don't match his ambition. And that goes for these other players as well. What's that?
Don't think of it that way. We need him to stay. We need those players now.
I know. But based on that team there, where would you rank them in terms of the Premier League table amongst the other squads? Would you say that's 15th?
Now, couple of things before I just say where we belong there. Of those players, Cedric hasn't started the Premier League game. Eamon has played 8 minutes. Pepe hasn't started many in the Premier League either. Martinelli hasn't played a single minute. Who else? OZIL. Lacazette.
Lac hasn't played as a number 10 in the league. We can say that.
Yeah. So 5 players, and I still think on paper, will probably just be in Liverpool, Spurs, City, Chelsea, United. On paper.
Okay. So then based on that, so you mentioned on paper. So then what do you think are the existing issues that we have for why we are 15th at the moment?
One, I'll start with we've harbored and motivated and encouraged the culture of mediocrity for way too long.
Hmm.
Perfect case scenario is we went from we are going for the league, we are going for the Champions League, we are going to win a double, to second is good enough,
Which
to
which
fourth
is
is
the fan base, right? They've
yeah.
lowered their expectation. So are we not lowering our expectations and not and accepting 15th? Because I'm hearing excuses like we don't have the right players, we don't have this and that. Is
But
that not part of that same mentality?
um, there is a very thin boundary between accepting your limitations,
Hmm.
going to war, and actually just going into war and saying I'm good enough, I'm gonna kick your ass, and then you get kicked. We are at a point where I think a lot of fans believe that we have a very good team, but we don't.
You know why I say this?
Yeah,
Because I remember the hysteria by a lot of our fan base when we signed Thomas Partey. I mean,
yeah,
they've even made sort of music tracks around it and stuff like that.
yeah,
That's how big it was. And I remember fans sat here on various social media platforms saying we're on point to get fourth or we're gonna get fifth. I always maintain saying that I thought honestly speaking we'll get fifth. I'm sorry, sixth. I said we needed a while to get fourth. Yeah. And so why are we saying that a few months ago? Now we're sat here saying, oh, actually, we don't have the right players. These players are useless. Yeah, that's why we're here. Why have many fans just changed their mind from, yep, we've got a great squad. We're going to be challenging this and that. We're going to do this to, no, it's the players. We're not good enough.
um, yeah, because the same thing. Like if we were having this conversation yesterday evening after the game,
Hmm.
I don't think it was going to be this orderly.
Yeah.
What I mean is there's human emotion to it. There's people who react, and a lot of us react to that in the heat of the moment. We get excited, we get mad, we don't like what we experience, or we like what we experience a lot, and we say certain things,
Hmm.
not necessarily thinking them through. But if you look at it thoroughly and honestly, so
Yeah.
I'll say this: how many of us went into the game yesterday believing we had a chance to win? That alone, like what Bellerin did, what the players did, what the manager did. How many of us went into the game yesterday, or even the United game? I think that would be a better example. How many of us went into the United game after they had beaten Leipzig 5-0, after they had beaten PSG the previous week? How many of us went into that game thinking we will win?
No, and I agree, but there are certain things which you can't take away from the manager. I thought honestly, and I said this against Thursday night when Reece Nelson got subbed off on the 60th minute.
Yeah,
I said if he is not starting, forget being on the bench, yeah, there needs to be a stewards inquiry, yeah, because this is taking a piss. I hate this talk of non-negotiable, but then you don't act upon it. You know, for me, when Mikel Arteta first came in, breath of
yeah,
fresh air. He said what he had to say, and he backed it up with his actions. Yeah,
yeah,
he said non-negotiable. Matteo Guendouzi punished. He had a go at David Luiz. David Luiz kind of changed. He took on more responsibility. He said we're going to be defensively, but now he talks and then he does something else. He was speaking about playing the youth, doesn't really rely on them. Joe Willock a few weeks ago got man of the match performance and he was involved in 2 goals. And I think it was a game against United or can't remember who, or Villa, sorry, it was against Villa, not on the bench. So
yeah.
it's these youngsters and people are play well and they're not awarded at all. Hector Bellerin will make a mistake and he's awarded. So for me, we can talk about expectations, we can talk about this, but why is it us as fans? We can say Ainsley should have played yesterday, but the manager who we are told to trust can't see that Ainsley was a better fit than Xhaka because he knew Spurs are a counter-attacking team. You need a player there that's mobile to break down the play, and Xhaka can't do that. So why can't he see these mistakes in terms of selecting the wrong personnel week in, week out?
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, I'm not trying to cover his ass here. He
Mm.
did mistakes in his team selection, in how we approached the game itself. We were not supposed to go gang ho like we did. I mean, of course, some mistakes like Bellerin's ball to Aubameyang, that was poor. Because that was a no ball. That ball was going nowhere. Aubameyang was right ahead of the ball. He had space to run to the byline, square the ball to maybe midfield runners coming in. But then the question I ask myself at this point in time is, I respected Ferguson a lot, and for me, he is the best manager to have been in the Premier League. And
Agreed.
Ferguson once said, you can actually not win the Premier League with kids. And right now, we are trying to do that. We are trying to get ourselves out of shame with kids. We want to put in Ainsley, we want to put in Nelson, we want to put in Smith Rowe, we want to put in
See,
all these guys.
I disagree. For me, yeah, the kids are not the solution. Yeah, they are the temporary fix until January comes. Yeah, we know Mustafi, we know Holding, etc., have been calamitous. They have been error prone since their existence. Yeah. So why can't we, until then, say, you know what, Saliba, we don't know you, yeah? We've heard great things about you. We've spent £30 million on you. We're going to give you a go. Because you know why? Regardless, even if he doesn't turn out to be the answer, he might be the answer like Wesley Fofana was. If not, he develops, his stock prices go up, you sell him for 80 mil in future or however much, yeah? It's called investment, yeah? So bring him in and let him fill the gap until we can bring in a suitable replacement. And in that time, he might be the answer. And we don't know. Then we don't have to spend money in the window. Likewise, you look at Chelsea with Mason Mount, yeah? They were forced to play him. Now look, Mason Mount plays in their team week in, week out. Reus James, yeah? He's taken over Azpilicueta, yeah? Their captain. Reus James is now starting for him. But we don't try this. Instead, we sit here and we're like, we can't rely on the kids, so we're going to bring these same guys who make the same mistakes every week. I'd rather bring in the youngsters until January. Emil Smith-Rowe might not be the answer. That's fine. January, go for Szoboszlai. But right now, the answer is not Granit Xhaka in that midfield. The answer is not Hector Bellerin. The answer is not Rob Holding there. And I would rather have that approach.
That's personally the concern I have. You see, I think it's very good that you reference Chelsea in this. You will have noticed that Reus James started regularly after Mendy came in and Thiago Silva into that defense. For that, it was Azpilicueta was being put there. Why? Because Lampard is actually trying to protect these people and these players, and even Mount. Mount is actually now playing alongside Kante, but Kante is actually playing in his natural position as a defensive midfielder. We don't have players right now who can actually protect the young players that we want to be thrown into this mess. And my worry is we want to destroy what might be our future in actually trying to replace these players. But at the same time, what we forget is that we want to address the problem as it is here today. We're not addressing that problem at the root. It is going to come again exactly to where we are. This is my concern, because we systemically got here. We didn't like just wake up one day and got here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
We systemically got here. Since we signed Xhaka, we haven't gotten into the top 4. We've gone out, spent money on Socrates. We went out, signed people like Mustafi, Chambers, Holding. I'm mad, man.
You know, to the point, what I was sort of saying, where you mentioned about the Reus James on Chelsea, yeah? He didn't start this season. It was last season when he started featuring in. So for me, why not slowly integrate them in when you do have the personals, when you have your Awa, when you have your Szoboszlai, when you've got a competent right back and we get rid of Bellerina, then you know what I mean? Then these players will be ready. Then the thing will be is, but these youngsters, they've never had any minutes. They've never played. How can we bring in Emil Smith-Rowe? How can we bring in Saliba? How can we bring in Balogun? They've never played. And this is the thing. And it pissed me off. The game on Thursday, meaningless, and we still refused to play them. We had Dani Ceballos and Willian come on the 60th minute alongside Emil Smith-Rowe. Emil Smith-Rowe has played full 90 minutes for the under 23s, a few games now, yeah?
Yeah.
And Pablo Mari has only played in one, the game against Derby, where he was with Chambers and Saliba. Only one, and he completed full 90 minutes. Why are we still reluctant to give Smith Rowe more than half an hour? Why are we giving Balogun 9 minutes? You know, it's these things, you scratch your head and you want to think about it, and then it pisses you off. As I mentioned, I watched Matteo Gondosi on Saturday. Amazing. Mikel Arteta needs to know he's young. Yes, he's hot-headed. And that's why the right manager needs to know how to manage these people. If my honest opinion is, I don't think Arteta's a bad manager. Let's just get that clear. I think he's making a lot of mistakes. And the reason being is because A, he's inexperienced and naive. B, I don't think he has anyone to guide him around him. He doesn't have any experienced assistants as well. He just seems like he's got yes men who just agree to everything he says. And that's the problem. Then you look on top of him, you've got Edu, who's clueless in my opinion. And it's just one massive circus show and it's a mess. And for me, we just need maybe, I think right now the situation is so far down that I'm seeing the players are no longer playing for him. Do you think the players are still playing for Arteta? And because from the performance yesterday, honestly, I don't think so.
Well, that's exactly where my problem is. Players shouldn't be playing for the coach; they should be playing for the badge.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
I don't understand why we should even be having the discussion of are they playing for the manager? The managers come and go. The badge stays. If you're not playing for the badge, step out, man.
Unfortunately, but this is just how football is. That's the reason why Emery got the sacking, and that's why many managers get sacked, because once the players are no longer listening to them, it's because the way boards look at it, what's easier, to sack 11 players or to sack one guy? So unfortunately, that's just how it is.
And for me, unfortunately, that's the problem with us. As Arsenal fans, we are not dealing with the problem. We want another honeymoon. And once that honeymoon is gone, we're going to have this trouble again.
I don't want a honeymoon. I want a manager that's going to play the right players. I want a manager that will actually say, I would rather play youth than see you, Mustafi. I would rather play youth than see you, Kolasinac. You don't love this club. You want out come June. Then you know what? Not interested. Get out of my squad. Yeah. Likewise, anyone who's not interested, get out. I want zero tolerance. I want someone who's going to drive and push the board. I want someone to call them out during summer when they're not backed. Not a manager after Aston Villa. I'm 100% backed. Yep, not playing Ozil because of my decision. I want someone to come in, shake everything up.
And then the question will be, who's that?
Who's that? You know what? That guy would have been the guy down the road. It would have been him. And I don't like Mourinho, but I think we needed it. I think there's a reason why, Arsenal was very quick to say no to Mourinho. And I've heard other reasons as well. Allegri. I heard Allegri wasn't interested. After a few talks, Allegri said, I'm not interested. I don't like your structure. You're not backing me. And I think they went with the easy man in Arteta. And I think Arteta I feel so sorry for him because this is his first job, and he backed those idiots. Why would he do that? Why would you ruin your career already? And this is for me, I've always said, when he came out and he said he has full backing, I said, that's the moment he's going to die on his sword.
Exactly. He put that out, the sword, for himself. He probably will die on it. But what my worry is, personally, is Arteta goes, then what next? We probably get another coach, a Benitez here, or what?
Can I ask you a question?
Coach, what does he come to?
Can I ask you a question? Let's say we've got a manager like Poch,
Yeah.
I know. Let's make it very controversial. Let's get Poaching, yeah? We've got Poaching, and he works miracles. If he's got that Tottenham team when he first arrived, from mid-table to a Champions League team, and in that time he progressed them over us in the league. We have to be honest, Yes, we might have won a few trophies domestically, but they have been a better team. What if he took us there and we see a lack of spending and investment from the board, and we're, let's say, that close from winning the league? Do you not think maybe the fans might unite, if they see there's a manager that the whole fan base is behind? For me, the issue is I've seen a division in the fan base. You either Wenger in, Wenger out, Unai Emery in, Unai Emery out, Arteta in, Arteta out. And I've always said if there was that one manager that the whole fan base loved and they can see he wasn't backed by the manager, I think that's going to be the light that's going to wake up everyone. That's just my opinion.
Don't you think that was Arteta immediately after the FA Cup win?
But yes and no. I think many people did. But then if these people did, and I questioned them because I always said, yeah, for me initially I thought, yes, this is great. And then when I heard we were in for a war, and then there was talks that was breaking down, that's when I got pissed off. And I said, what happened to these same campaigners from last season? Remember with the slogan, "We care, do you"? Where was they this season? Where are they now? Why are they not speaking out? You know, it's just convenient for them.
A lot of them got excited, and this is what my concern is for a lot of fans at Arsenal. Is like we get excited with very simple, flimsy wins, not realizing that there's a big picture here. I mean, we are a club that is supposed to be competing for the Premier League every season, competing for the Champions League every season, but for the last 16, 14 years, we haven't done that. Okay,
Yeah.
and we have been fed crumbs, man.
I agree.
I remember when they signed Thomas Vermaelen, it was the only signing that season. We went on, and people were just talking about the other day when we signed only Peter Cech, but when we signed Thomas Vermaelen, that it was the only signing that season.
You know what you said there is absolutely true, yeah? Because we've been fed crumbs for so many years that when we sign a player like Thomas Partey, and he's like a lobster in our mind, yeah? We're like, wow, we've got lobster, and we get excited. But we're not realizing we've not got the sides with the lobsters. You don't got your mac and cheese. You don't got your rice. You don't got your salad, yeah? You just eat lobster. It's not going to taste as great with your sides, yeah? So we're just excited because we've been fed breadcrumbs. Now we've got lobster. We're just like, wow. So, yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah. I honestly, I'm struggling. I won't lie to you. Even if Mikel was to be let go, I'm still concerned. And I think I'm at a point where I know even if a new manager comes in, we'll have a bump, do quite well, and then maybe towards the end of the season, high hopes, get into maybe a semi-final in Europa League, probably finish in around 7th, 8th, and then maybe win the League Cup, something like that. And then Cronkies will be like, yeah, we won a trophy, that's what we said, and they move on. Now, the problem I have with that is the following season, we're going to end up in this position. Why? Because these players have been fed a culture of just about the bare minimum. That's good enough.
Granit Xhaka hugging the arena after the game.
Exactly. What I feel right now is we probably need to stick with this one manager, clear out. Because there's probably, as you said, you have 18, I have 15. And I am sure, I can bet you, we speak to many Arsenal fans. I speak to probably quite a lot as well locally, and even, WhatsApp groups where there's endless banter, and you can be sure there's no many players that can and should be at Arsenal at this point in time. Mustafi, Holding, Chambers. We held on to Carl Jenkinson until the end of the contract. That is how bad, that is how horrible the mismanagement has been.
You know some things you spoke about, and I agree with you. The board is the biggest issue, 100%. But in terms of picking Xhaka, Bellerin, or getting Xhaka to stay, that's wrong for me. You can't blame the board on that. Signing Carl Jenkinson, can't blame the board on that. Giving Ozil 350, you can't blame the board on that. Us setting up tactically naive, you can't blame.
On 170 or something.
Outlaying 70 mil on Nicolas Pepe after only one amazing season. It's, for me, the board are a massive problem because they're not footballing people and they won't invest. And that's been a major issue. But then for me, there are certain things we can do in-house to make our situation better. And for me, he's not doing that. And it's not just Arteta. I'm talking about those directly above him. You're talking about your Vinay's, Before that, your Gazidis and etc. So these guys, here, they're just as culpable as the Cronkies, in my opinion. And right now, Arteta's not doing himself any favors. For me, if Arteta was selecting the right players and we won't get the results, then yes, I would have the same energy as you and let's get him out. But right now, I'm still thinking we can do things. He can improve himself, if I'm honest with you.
The other thing I would say to that is, in saying great players, I'm also careful to realize that actually the teams we've played in the Europa League are not that good.
Yeah,
that's one thing we need to be honest about. Like we have not played the Inters, the Madrids, the PSG, the United that could actually drop into Europa, and we then realize, wow, our players ain't that good as we think they are. Okay, so that is one end of it, and the other thing as well is, personally, I think it's that even in signing the players that we've tried to sign, right now we're talking about getting somebody like is coming from France, but I wonder, can we get somebody like Buendia, Premier League proven, did very well with Norwich? Can we get somebody like, can't we get players who have already played in the league and have been tested in the Premier League, or Premier League, so that we actually are able to kick on from there? Because we have this problem of having to bed in players, and we are bedding in a player for an entire. Saliba is the case. We're bedding him over a season. Last season, we were talking about Pepe having to have a season where he gets used to
you could say Willian came from the Premier League, hasn't settled in. Gabriel came from Liga. Yes, I agree with you. In most cases, that's true, but it's not always the case.
Yeah, definitely, it's not always the case. But I mean, we have been doing this. We've been signing players from other leagues. Probably our players now, if you start from the back, close to 70% of them are from other leagues. Our starting 11, be it like I said, Aubameyang, Atini, Gabriel, Partey, Xhaka, all these guys are from other leagues. How about we go and sign on? Like I saw you were having a discussion about Bissouma. If we go Bissouma,
I love Bissouma. Yeah.
Got another defender, say even got Tawoski from Burnley. Yeah, we already have a good core there that could actually move us. That is Premier League ready, and we don't have to wait for another 2 months for them to settle in. Yeah,
I agree with you, and I agree with you. But the only reason why I suggested the youth, is because until January we can't do that. So for me, in the meantime, let's stop playing Xhaka. Let's try Ainsley. If Ainsley, he can't be as bad as Xhaka. He can't.
Definitely.
It's just so bad. Cedric, I don't think Cedric's brilliant, but from what I've seen from Southampton, he's not as bad as Hector Bellerin.
True.
So
for me, how to play? He's been planting trees and
fashion models. Yeah, he's YouTube channel is called Hector Bellerin, more than a footballer. He needs to change it to Hector Bellerin, everything except a footballer. So and you see Hector Bellerin, and he plays. And for me, I think these little things need to be managed from now until January, until we can spend. I think this is where I'm looking quite closely at Arteta. He needs to make these things are within his control. We can't go out and spend. He doesn't have control over money, but he does have control over the squad. And for me, he needs to make those decisions. Likewise, in-game management is very poor. I've never seen him switch up, do a plan B against Aston Villa or Leeds United. We were getting hammered on the first half. He just came out exactly the same. I never liked Unai Emery, but one thing he did do is he wasn't afraid or shy half-time to make the changes. It's Arteta, what are you waiting for? I'm seeing it. I'm seeing we're getting punished. It's like last season when we were playing Chelsea, and they were all over us. And I kept saying, make the change now. You need to make the change now because they're all over us. Let's bring someone who can get the ball, run at someone. But he stands there, he just watches it, and this is for me where he needs to get it right, and this is why I criticize him. It's not the spending, yes, I agree, but until January, I can't say nothing. But right now, he has control over the squad. He has control over the game management side of things, and that's why I'm quite harsh on him.
So a question for me, from me. So let's say Martinelli maybe is not ready, but we say instead of Martinelli, Lacazette moves into the 9th position and
Yeah,
ESR moves into the 10, and Arteta plays that team
yeah,
5 games from now until the 29th. Is it 29th? Yeah.
yeah,
Which is so we have Everton, Chelsea, Southampton, Brighton, and Burnley.
yeah.
Um, for me, the minimum is we need to win 3 of those, regardless of what lineup he puts out. But the question is for you, if he does make those moves and we don't end up winning, then where do we go from there?
Do we see progress? That's the question. Because not winning doesn't necessarily mean you're not progressing. Last season, one of his first few games was that 2-1 defeat to Chelsea. Remember where Jorginho got the winning
Yeah,
goal.
yeah,
But in that game, not sure about yourself, but I saw massive progress. I saw progress in the pressing. I saw
yeah,
progress in the play, and we were very unfortunate. If we lose
yeah.
those games, but I'm seeing collectively within the team, we're progressing, we're playing better, but we're very unfortunate, then I'm happy. Because right now we're losing and there's no progress at the same time.
hmm
So that's why I'm frustrated. I would rather lose but see some progression. If we're losing and we're seeing that, then I can't complain because it's only a matter of time before it clicks, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. I think, as you say, Plan B is needed as it is. But again, I'm worried for him personally. I'm
Yeah.
worried more so for our club. I mean,
Yeah.
for how long I've supported Arsenal, for how much joy it has brought me, how much pain it has also afforded me. It's really horrible knowing that this could get
Yeah.
darker than it already has been.
Yeah.
Um, I sit there and I'm like, even if I was to bring another coach, I'm still concerned that in 6 months, in 1 year, we could still be having this conversation.
Yeah.
Why? Because of the guys in the board and the owners.
But
Because
do
I
you not
wonder.
do you not think with the owners like that, yeah, maybe they need a manager that's more experienced. Maybe that's why that relationship worked with Arsene Wenger because he was experienced. They can sort of lean on him, and because they're useless, they're not going to do nothing themselves. Let's be real.
But the problem I have with that is,
Hmm.
in actually referencing Wenger, because I think he's actually part of the mess we are in. He's part of the reason why, in as much as
100%.
he's a legend of the club and everything, and people don't like doing this, don't like talking about him being a part of the reason why we're here. For me personally, I think it did contribute quite
Of
immensely
course.
for us being here where we are today. And so, like, um, we can say all we want about getting an experienced manager,
Hmm.
but up until when that experienced manager does actually get backed properly and not just backing for the sake of backing so that the fans get
Yeah.
excited about it, but backing to actually plug in all the holes we have. You know,
Yeah.
you are having the chat about Mourinho using less money than we used last summer and
Hmm.
plugging in all the holes he had in the team, and here we are. We haven't spent wisely.
Yeah.
Um, we've gone out and actually ended up with, because I I bet you not, if we
Yeah.
went out and signed Buendia and Bissouma for the same amount of money we spent for Party,
Yeah.
a lot of people will be
Hmm.
like, "Oh no, why did you sign him? Those are like, who are those? They are playing for Norwich, they are playing for Brighton, but those guys could come into the team and do a job." But we are excited about a big name. We're just concerned about, let's get a Party, let's get a Ozil, let's
A lot
get
of
a
people don't
Sanchez,
know.
but we're
Basuma,
not seeing the problem we have.
Basuma was in that team when with Nicolas Pepe when Lille finished second. I
Yeah,
think he's very underrated, and just because he plays for Brighton, as you said, and yes, our fans are quite arrogant. We look past some of these players in lower sort of teams,
yeah,
but it's a mentality we need to sort of change.
yeah.
Just thinking, we're coming up to the hour mark. And just to sort of get your final thoughts on things, where do you sort of see things leaving from here? Where do you see the plan for January, and what do we need to do in order to rectify things at the moment?
Good. We need too much. We need five. I think personally, we need five signings.
Yeah, is that it? I think a miracle.
Five.
Prayers.
We need five. And I'm not asking you to get me a Tony Cruz or whoever that is. I'm
Yeah.
asking for um I'm not like out there asking for grandeur. I'm asking simply go out,
Mm-hmm.
buy Tawoski from, it might be expensive because he's English. Tawoski, get Besuma, get
Yeah.
Buendia. That's our midfield. And go out and get, what is his name? Um a winger. We need, not a winger, we need another midfielder. From this guy from,
Hungary.
not the Hungarian guy. I plays for Burnley. Yes. No,
Which
not
one?
Burnley. He plays for Aston Villa. McGinn.
McGinn. Okay.
Yeah,
I, I,
McGinn.
I like Douglas Costa from there.
Yeah.
But,
Um,
yeah.
Douglas Costa, I think, um, he isn't as consistent as McGinn is.
Yeah.
I think I prefer
Okay.
McGinn because of how consistent and how much control he has in terms of his awareness and how he
Yeah.
moves the transitioning in that manner. And then go out and get Zaha from Palace, because then that gives us an option at somebody who can run at players, who like an extra, a plan B, as you were saying. Somebody will pick up the ball in midfield and run at a defense and probably get us a penalty, get us a free kick in those dangerous places. So those five for me. Send out Nketiah, send out
Yeah.
um, Nathan and Smith Rowe and Balogun to championship loans and have them playing every week.
You know
Uh,
what? I think Smith Rowe's good for the Premier League. I genuinely think he's good for a team like Fulham, and I think they would love a player like Smith Rowe at Fulham.
Even not necessarily like outside of the championship, we can actually also play in the Premier League if we can get them to play regularly. If he can go to Fulham and play alongside Loftus
Yeah.
Cheek, great. That's a good learning curve for him, and then we see what happens there. Chambers out, Holding out, um, Bellerin out,
Yes.
um,
Pay off Ozil's contract. Pay off
Mustafi.
Ozil's contract, I'd say.
I don't think he'll accept now because that option was given to him and they said no.
No. They tried to form a agreement. Arsenal said we'll come and pay you off. I believe it was at 70% of the remaining amount. Ozil said pay me the full amount. So I think if the Cronkies are really backing Arteta,
Mm,
either you bring Ozil back in the squad or you pay him out so he's no longer a distraction. Because while so long as he's still here,
yeah,
the media and fans will still mention Ozil every time we lose, and it's going to make Arteta's job a lot more difficult than it is.
yeah. So that one has to be sorted out one way or another. I mean, he either comes back into the team, does whatever he does, and goes. Because I think the contract with Ozil is quite complicated because the loyalty is involved as well. So
Mm-hmm.
some of the payments are being actually made by other entities, and in cancelling that contract, there might be an interruption to those loyalties, and maybe he might
Mm-hmm.
not accept that fully. And yeah, so Mustafi, Socrates, Shaka, Kolasnic, Elneny can remain in there as a squad player till the end of the season while we see what we can do after that.
Do you think we're safe for the season? I know there's some fans talking about relegation. I don't think so. Do you think surely we can't get any worse, but do you think in terms of any European position right now, that's just done?
Yeah, I don't think we'll make it into the European places unless, of course, maybe win the FA Cup or the Europa
Or
League, which I doubt. Because
Same.
in a knockout competition, he has proven to be quite good, Ateta, and so maybe via that, but otherwise we're no good. And even then, I'll be worried for us to get into the Champions League because I don't think we have a squad for that, and we're just going to be embarrassed, really. I don't want us to go into the Champions League just to participate and come in fourth or third in the group and end up in
Yeah.
Europa League. I mean, I would rather a good run that comes in maybe after 2 years, we go into the Champions League, get into the quarters or semis maybe. But sitting there and just getting there for the sake of getting there is a problem. Yes, I know a lot of people will say like it gives us a chance to sign better players, but what are better players? Names or actually people who play?
Yeah. No, I agreed. Well, we're going to have to do this very soon. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time as usual, Caleb. I will leave your Twitter on the description below. Is there anything you want to say before we sort of head off?
Before we go, your prediction for the 5 matches we have this for the remainder of this month.
You're going to have to remind me. So we got Burnley next.
Burnley, Brighton, Southampton, Everton, and Chelsea.
All right, hold on. Burnley, we should win that. Southampton, I'm not confident. I think that's a draw.
Ings will be back, by the way. He's on the bench tonight.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, not. I think Theo Walcott will score against us then. Who was after that? Was it Man City in the cup?
Yeah, we have Man City in the League Cup.
I reckon we'll be knocked out. And who was in the league after that? Sorry, Brighton.
After the City game, we have Everton and then Chelsea.
Everton, is that at home or away?
Everton away.
That's a loss. Chelsea.
It's funny that we actually have a better away form than the home form. It's crazy. It's just
You know why I say a loss? Because every time Arteta has come up against a manager that's more experienced or better than him, he's been outclassed. Brendan Rodgers, Bielsa, Jose Mourinho. I can go on. He's just. I think against managers like Graham Potter, Sean Dyche, he might be able to do something. But when he faces sort of elite managers, he comes unstuck and he's very easy found out. So that's why I think the experience in Carlo will get the win. And unfortunately, Chelsea's team is just too strong for us. So they're going to destroy us. And I reckon that will be when he gets sacked. So I reckon the next time we do one of these podcasts, we'll have a new manager. That's just my opinion. Just saying. Is there anything you want to end off, Caleb? And by the way, your same question to you. Where do you think we will end up after those 5 games?
I think we'll have 5 points from those 5 games.
Out of 15.
Yeah, 5 points out of 15. That's what I think. Realistically, unless something really massive happens between now and when those games come along, I think we'll have 5. Maybe a win at Burnley. Or at Brighton, one of those, and then a draw of the other 2, and maybe we lose to Everton and Chelsea, unless of course something changes. I think you might actually go back to doing a back 3 in defense. But we'll see. But I think as it is currently, 5 points.
I hope we're both wrong. Trust me. I hope there's nothing more than me being wrong and Arteta being the greatest manager in history. I'm sat here, end of the season, looking so stupid wanting this guy out. I really hope he proves me wrong along with the team, because end of the day, the football club means so much more than me being right. And I'll leave it as that. As I said, you've been a great host. I'll leave your description on Twitter. So by all means, hit me up on the comment section. Thank you so much. Take care, guys.